we have multiple traders who lost their whole accounts. Someone found a winning strategy and thinks he's the Michael Jordan of options. And make sure you watch until the end because we have a trader who made $1.1 million from around 80k in just a week. And we are starting off with a huge loss by WorriedGuide9448, who feels sick inside. On the all-time chart, he's down by 99.78% or $33,634.85, and he's left with just $75.41. And his chart is just painful to watch. There are so many moments when he could have secured his profits and turned things around, but he didn't, because he's a 27-year-old loser. He knows it's not a lot, but it was everything he had, and he's feeling so sick inside, emotionally and financially ill. He lost pretty much everything because he's been trying to short mega tax since the end of April last year by buying QQQ, Apple, Microsoft and basically puts on all mega tech. And this was not the first case of blowing up his portfolio. Before this miscalculation, he lost 15k or 99%, after which he put in more and believed he could make it. Because once he started trading options, he didn't know how to stop. I still don't get it. Why didn't he secure just one simple gain? For example, just this March he went from 6k to around 27k. Actually though, he didn't double down, and if he remembers correctly, he probably just took profits and went against the trend, from bull to bear and bear to bull. I mean, at this point he's at the verge of a gambling addiction, as he also thinks he probably should never come back again. It wasn't 33k at once, it was 10k, 15k, 25k and 33k. He's been down by 99% a few times, and he just deposited few more thousands to stay in. And he was even getting advice on StockTwits, the worst platform for investing advice besides WallStreetBets of course. And because the market always finds a way to make you feel even worse, he thinks $336 will probably mark the near-term top for QQQ since he's done. Next, we have a huge gain by a user who probably wanted to name himself Heisenberg, but that was already taken. He says you only need to be right once. On the all-time chart, he's up by just 0.29% or $37.90, and looking at the chart, we can just barely see this last gain that made his account go from being completely blown up to just barely in profit. And what caused such a majestic gain? Nvidia call options with a striking price at $305 and expiration date on May the 19th. He thinks Nvidia can break $320, but luckily he's already taking his money out. Although in perfect hindsight, if he held on, he could have made 10k, but obviously he couldn't stay away from the market for a long time, and the next day he made $1,474.89. And once again, he had paper hands, so he sold once he covered his losses. Had he held onto them, he'd have 22k, but then later in the day he somehow rose his account to $25,544.43. Of course, he didn't stop, and he then posted another gain, saying you just need to be right twice, I guess. On the all-time chart, he's now up by 49% or $10,760.60 because he bought Nvidia call options with a striking price at $322.50 and expiration date on May the 19th. And once again, he said he's planning to just get out, but I guess we'll see about that. Anyway, next up we have an insane loss by Voyage, who never believed he would end up posting here, as he lost $328,000 in 2 years. Looking at the screenshot, we can see that he deposited $354,247.09 and he's left with $26,198.82. So he's down by around 93%. He didn't even have one huge win, and he lost most of his money in the first year. If we closely inspect the chart, we can see that he's been making a very slow recovery, so I guess good for him. He made smaller deposits through the spring of 2021, before adding a lump sum in August 2021. He didn't buy long options, just shares and short puts with Meta, PayPal and other tech stocks, and some credit spreads as well. And at one point he lost 30% in just a day because he was very tech concentrated and held Meta through earnings with margin. Of course it was margin. I mean, people on WallStreetBets mainly lose money due to margin or 0-day sale expiry options. So I guess if you stay away from those, you greatly reduce the risk of blowing up your account. So yeah, this was definitely one of the toughest situations he's ever been through, and hopefully he somehow recovers. Next, we have another huge gain by Alternative Willow 4, who says, and just like that, the boy becomes a man. On the all-time chart, he's up by 2.48% or $889.06, and like one of the previous traders, he somehow turned his account from a complete disaster to a break-even in what appears to to be a very short time frame, but in fact it was over a month, when he consistently made gains and ended up being up by 283% around 27k. He made most of these gains with put credit spreads on Nvidia. Before he started trading put credit spreads, he was losing money on single-legged option strategies, but once he started trading multi-legged, he made some serious gains. In his new strategy, he just sold puts where he found that price wouldn't go, then bought puts right under the set price to create the spread. He collected decent credit, but would load up on more if the stock price slipped and the contracts increased in value. It's easier to predict where the stock price isn't going to drop past than predicting how high the price will be in the near future. He opened them 2 weeks till expiration, and obviously he just kept doing this on stocks he was very bullish on. Made some gains for the first time in his life. For example, in this trade he sold the contracts for $1.10 and bought them back at 20 cents, making 10k off of this play. He did this 7 times in a row on different stocks, so he thinks he wasn't lucky but found a strategy that works for him and he's going to abuse it. Someone told him to just take the money and run away from this, and he even compared himself with Michael Jordan by saying that's like telling Michael Jordan to stop playing basketball after winning his first championship ring. Well, hopefully he can continue making more. Next up, we have a huge loss by Toxic Zombie, who discovered options 3 years ago and is consequently down by 99% or $80,008.70, and is left with $282.66. He lost so much money because he was doing options back and forth on SQQQ and TQQQ. His problem is that he was always right, he was just off by about 3 months every single time, buying calls on the way down and puts on the way up. I mean, being off by 3 months is just being wrong, but okay. Also, 70% of his trades saw green and he just didn't take profits. And he actually hasn't traded for about 3 months. He's been paper trading and working on some strategies. Hopefully he did learn, as it would suck if he didn't. He'll see what he can do with the $100 he just added, and then maybe he'll add to it, but for now he's going to be safer, as he really wants to learn how to do this. And just so people don't think he offed himself, he still has about 400k left from his stock picks from 2014 to 2021 when he cashed. Just grateful he didn't decide to learn on his entire portfolio. Next, we have an insane loss by Muted Note 5762, who says this is it for him. He's down by 94% or $185,469.03 and is left with around 10k, and I think I have never seen such a slow bleeding chart. I mean, it's consistently going down in almost a perfect line. When he started out, he was just entering trades blindly, but it was a very small amount, $500 to $1,000. Then he lost a good chunk in some stocks, which names he cannot mention here, but one was a TikTok competitor and one was a tech successor. He lost like 50k there and he's still holding. Then it was all options thereafter. He started reading people's analysis, noticing moving averages, RSI and so on. Then he entered trades like that and lost every time. The maximum he's gained in a day is 12k, but lost it all in the next week. Then he tried day trading and scalping and went from $2,200 to $18k, but then again lost it all. Then he went for in the money far out expiry and went from 10k to 50k in 2 months and a half, but then lost it all in just 2 days. Anyway, this was all of his savings from the past 2 years and a half, and he has $0 in his bank account right now. He tried harder since March of this year with a new strategy. It worked and he went from 10k to 50k, but then he messed it all up again in 3 days and lost it all. He doesn't know what to do. He hasn't eaten in 2 days. Everything feels sad. He knows it's just money, but after 2 years and a half, he thinks all these losses finally got to him. He's not able to shake it off. And last but not least, we have an insane gain by Faustarian18, who made $1.1 million from around 80k in just a week, because he bought 150 Nvidia call options with a striking price at $295 and expiration date on May the 19th, and 30 NDX call options with a striking price at $13,500 $250, an expiration date on May the 18th. At the time he posted this, he was altogether up by around 600k. He continued holding and around 2 hours later he was altogether up by around 950k. I'm assuming he sold and later in the day he scalped another quick 100k with 40 NDX call options with an expiration date on May the 18th. And he would even say that after this past week, his portfolio is more than 50% of his net worth. He also thinks this is a bubble. Yes, AI is probably going to transform the economy, but Nvidia's CUDA moat has been eroding for years and the big boys will diversify their supply either by making their own chips or buying AMD. Don't FOMO, as he's probably going to sell his Nvidia stock before the earnings report. Well, just huge respects to him. And if you want to see how this trader turned just $1 into $2,249 overnight, click on the video that just popped up, and if that is not enough, smash the subscribe button as you'll help me out a lot in reaching my goal of 600 subscribers. If you have any questions or recommendations, leave them in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.